The Washington Wizards just traded for Cam Whitmore for only 2 second-round picks, and quietly, the Washington Wizards have had a complete retooling of their roster and have now forged direction. We talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and look at this content for today, y'all. And the Washington Wizards just completed a trade with the Houston Rockets to send 2 second-round picks to the Houston Rockets for Cam Whitmore. Now, Cam Whitmore is a player that's kind of fallen out of that rotation of the Houston Rockets. He's still a very promising offensive player that has tremendous upside, a top 20 pick of just a couple years ago. And this is a guy that with the acquisition of Kevin Durant and of Dorian Finney-Smith and things like that, like he was going to find himself on the outside looking into that rotation as they're going to prioritize Tari Eason, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, Dorian Finney-Smith to get those spots. And so now Cam Whitmore goes to a team in the Washington Wizards that has really rebuilt their roster with a lot of nice young talent that also looks like it's going to fit together pretty well. That's the key part in this. Now, when you look at the Washington Wizards and what they've done over really the last offseason or 2 off seasons, they initially get, Bub Carrington, a player that really stood out for them last year and really looks like a player that they now are going to start building with, right? Part of the reason why they felt comfortable moving on from Jordan Poole. In that, they also draft Trey Johnson this year to add to them drafting Alexander Sarr last year. And now you're adding Cam Whitmore to that with Coulibaly there as well. Keyshawn George there, another young player. And the Washington Wizards slowly but surely are just amassing some talent that looks like it could really have a chance to grow together. Now, it's going to come down to how the Washington Wizards develop these players and how they develop and round out their NBA skills for sure. But I tell you what, for the place where the Washington Wizards were, with having Jordan Poole there, a player with a big contract, and while he's put up some points there, it didn't really look like somebody who was going to you can necessarily build around. The Wizards have now changed and flipped their cap sheet as well. They've eliminated a lot of the long-term salary on their deals. When you look at it, the Washington Wizards have C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart, and Rashawn Holmes, all with expiring deals this year. That puts that at almost $100 million that they have in expiring money that's on its way out, right? And while Jordan Poole had 2 years left on his deal, you cleared that $64 million and replaced that basically with C.J. McCollum at just 1 year of $30 million, who you very well could look to flip at the trade deadline, depending on if teams need some shooting and some scoring. So the Wizards have amassed some nice young talent. They've amassed expiring contracts, which is going to put them in a position next year to have tremendous cap space. When you look at it, the Washington Wizards, if they take on no more long-term salary, are going to have $118 million beneath the first tax apron next season. And that is tremendous space. And keep in mind, I'm not expecting the Washington Wizards to be some amazing, free agent destination or anything like that, but that puts you in a position where you can take on more expiring deals. You can be the third team in some trades. You can gather more assets in that case as well. And that's what the Washington Wizards look like they're going to do. They own their own first-round picks outright, right? The only one that they have going outwards is the 2026 pick, which I think is going to the OKC Thunder. But other than that, they'll still have a first-round pick because they either will have their own pick or they'll have New York's pick. So they still have a first-round pick there. I think they have a future pick coming or going to the Golden State Warriors as well. But this Washington Wizards team has really operated like a team that picked their vision early in the offseason, and now they're moving within that vision, having young players that you're really looking to see how they're going to continue to grow and develop. And now you could have a young core of players, a nucleus. Nucleus is better than core. I think core is kind of more used or reserved to teams that are winning, but you have a young nucleus now of players that you can build around with having veterans on expiring deals. So not really bad long-term money that you have there as well. So now you have that clear cap sheet to where you can do some things and get more picks back if you decide to do so, which for a team that's not really a free agent destination, that's almost the next best thing that you can do, because now you can take on future picks to take on bad salary or be the third team, and you can continue adding young salary. Now, they got to make sure that they're drafting right. They got to make sure that they can develop these guys right. But Bub Carrington, Trey Johnson, Cam Whitmore, Coulibaly, Alexander Sarr. Like, these are all players that I tell you what, I like to some degree. I like it a lot. And Keyshawn George as well as another player, 21 years old, down there as well, a former top 25 pick as well in the first round. So, like, you have some talent down there. You have some young talent that you need to focus on. And the question is, are they going to be able to develop it? This is still the Washington Wizards. They still have some trouble with having faith in things like that. But this is definitely a Wizards team that definitely looks like they picked a direction. And hopefully they are patient enough to see that direction out and smart enough to put the right coaching and the right staff around here to really develop these guys and see what you have in them. Because if you do, and these guys start hitting, even if 2 or 3 of them hit, you now have a core of guys that are all on similar contracts, all on similar paths, that you don't have to worry about, paying any of them huge money anytime soon. This could end up being probably one of the smartest off seasons that the Washington Wizards have had in the last decade, to be 100% honest with you, with the way that everything is shook out. Again, we'll have to see how it ends up working out, and that won't be told maybe for a couple of years or so, but look out for the Washington Wizards this year and see how these young players are developing, because if the Wizards have messed around and found themselves a young core here, it could be something that is not only a base of what they build on going forward, but then they still have the cap flexibility to still be teams and players out there on the market as well. And if you have young players that eventually do start developing and growing, and you still got that cap space, then maybe you can trade for a disgruntled star. Maybe you can trade for another young piece that maybe has shown some things, but hasn't really gotten a chance to like spread their wings. So this is the situation where, you just got to acknowledge how smart a team has been to put themselves in the situation. You got to hope that the players hit, because if they don't hit, then it's all for naught. But I think that they've put themselves in a really good situation to be able to really evaluate young talent. They of course, this is the longer path. So, they're not looking to be, competing for a play-in spot or a playoff spot probably for the next 2-3 years down the road. But you've given yourself now a young core that you can look at and continue to try to develop and see what's going to happen here. But I like how these pieces fit, especially that 1, 2, and 3. Carrington, Trey Johnson, Cam Whitmore at your 1, 2, and 3. I really like those pieces together and what they could end up turning into. Again, possibilities here. Not saying that it's a for sure thing, but it is a possibility of that turning into something. And that's what the Wizards are hoping for. They're hoping for that glimmer of hope that they can maybe open up a window for them eventually. But let me know what you guys think down below. The Washington Wizards trading for Cam Whitmore for only 2 second-round picks for a player that, many people still view as having tremendous upside in this NBA. And then overall, what they've done this offseason, again, not the offseason that you're going to see or say they're now playoff contenders, but an offseason that really has provided direction, whereas the Washington Wizards have really lacked that over the last couple of years. But let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Make sure you're following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything basketball related. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.